Right now, we should be 19th economy of the world, forecasted by HSBC and Goldman Sachs 2011. We should have been number 19 na. Maybe because corruption and incompetence, we did not reach number 19. Sabi ng mga ibang economists, with good governance, our GDP growth rate should be 9%. Despite the corruption, we are 4%.
So finally, as we wrap up this conversation, Architect Palafox, what should be? I mean, you've seen the destruction, you've seen the devastation, and this is not going to be the last if we don't get our acts together, right? So anong kailangan gawin ng pamahalaan para nga may panlaban kahit na papano? What's the first step?
I think private sector should be involved. Like San Miguel Corporation, 2 billion ginastos nila without taxpayers' money. Dredging Pasig River, 1 billion sa Tulyahan River, and I think they will dredge all the rivers of Bulacan.
Magandang araw ho mga kababayan. Kamusta ho kayo? Ngayon pag-uusapan ho natin kung bakit nagkaroon ng malalang baha sa Cebu. Ayon kay Urban Planner Felino Palafox Jr., at bakit malinaw na may sablay ang gobyerno sa pagpapatupad ng flood control projects. Sinabi nga ni Palafox mga kababayan na ang pangunahing dahilan ng baha ay ang mga nasisirang bundok at watershed, pati na rin ang mga hindi planadong developments. Kahit may mga drainage projects, hindi nito natutugunan ang tunay na problema, ang upstream management, bundok, slope, at halaman na nag-a-absorb ng tubig. Ang tanong ngayon mga kababayan, magkakaroon ba tayo ng independent audit sa flood control project sa Cebu? Maaayos ba ang land use at watershed protection? O patuloy na lang ba tayong apektado habang may bilyon na napupunta sa mali o hindi maayos na proyekto? Ito ho mga kababayan, rektahin na po natin ang live interview kay Engineer Palafox dito sa ANC. At tinalakay niya nga dito itong mga dahilan kung bakit pilit na bumabaha itong Cebu.
Pagkatapos ng Bagyong Tino and the destruction that we saw due to Typhoon Tino, really heartbreaking. Ang tanong, storms will always come, especially now that we're in the era of climate change, the rapid intensification of storms. That's going to be the story of vulnerable nations like the Philippines. Pero ano ba ang pwedeng gawin ng Pilipinas para naman may panlaban tayo? Para naman kahit papaano ay hindi ganitong klaseng destruction ang makikita natin?
Ang dami ng solusyon na proposed pa in the 70s. And I've written the president since Ondoy, President Gloria, President Aquino, President Duterte, and now President Bongbong Marcos. I've sent him already 200 recommendations to address the hazards before they become disasters. It's 90% less expensive to address the hazards before they become disasters, aside from saving human lives, buildings, infrastructure, and agriculture. And we know the problems, we know the solutions. They have not been implemented.
So bakit?
I've written several articles, Corruption Kills. First time I wrote about it after Yolanda. Because it's like after Ondoy, people were blaming God for the floods. And I said, it's not an act of God, the flooding, but sin of omission of men and women running our country. Then President Gloria called me. I gave her about 65 recommendations, initially 23, to address the hazards before disasters, and what projects, plans, and programs were put forward in the mid-70s, not yet implemented until now.
Ang tanong ng marami, Architect Palafox, we know the problems, right? We already know, time and again, that if we do not act on the solutions, then it's just going to be, this story over and over again. Pero itong tanong, bakit mas madaling hindi sundin itong mga solusyon na pinopropose ninyo kaysa sundin ito?
Tinanong ko nga, how come wala tayong mga pork barrel for prevention? The answer was, Architect Palafox, you were not born yesterday. Pag state of calamity, wala nang bidding, sa consultants, contractors, and suppliers. So we should be concerned about this one-year state of calamity. There will be a bonanza of corruption.
Why do you say so?
Kung wala ng bidding. So, in fact, I think Senator Bam Aquino and our team sa Palafox have been talking about blockchain and AI to monitor the budget and project implementation. Para pag may mga corruption, forever nandun yung data. Ngayon yung investigation na ICI, nahihirapan dahil sa paper trail.
Wala
After being a team leader for the World Bank funded Metro Plan Manila, UNDP funded Manila Bay Region, I had to work at least 2 years for government projects to pay back my full scholarship to University of the Philippines. It was in those projects that I was invited and named hired to help plan the desert town of Dubai, bring it into the first world in 15 years. And all the recommendations, plans we made put forward in Dubai, 120% implementation. You know why? Before they implement, the Dubai would say zero defect. So they even review the plans to make sure walang defect. Dito, hindi lang one defect, ghost projects pa.
Hindi ba nakakapanglumo yon, Architect Palafox, na natutulungan mo yung ibang mga bansa para maging sustainable, para magkaroon ng proper urban planning? Pagkatapos sarili mong bansa, andyan naman ang rekomendasyon ninyo pero hindi nagagawa.
40 countries na po. There's bright spot din. Like right now, there's ongoing postgraduate course, Asian Institute of Management, co-branded with Palafox. In fact, on Wednesday, I'll be lecturing on smart cities. By 2050, with 150 million Filipinos, we'll need 100 smart cities. I wrote a book towards resilient cities and communities. I think, as you said also, the word resilience being
much
taken
abused.
Advantage by the corrupt and incompetent. And my next book will be towards sustainable cities and communities. About 15 years ago, I was a speaker in Mumbai, India. Remaking of Mumbai, remake the city. Our recommendations was demolish 30,000 buildings and structures that are vulnerable to disasters and rebuild Mumbai vertical urbanism. Vertical city with tall buildings, with more open spaces, maybe 70% open space. Also our subdivision law. I remember when I was 25 years old, I was asked to comment on the proposed Presidential Decree 957, subdivision law. I said that 30% open space should exclude the roads. Dito included ang roads.
Hindi naman open
Kaya
space.
8% na lang. Kaya yung mga developers, kinakalbo yung bundok kasi 8% lang talaga yung open space. Kaya sabi nga nila, mountain are supposed to protect our cities, communities. They don't protect anymore because of the kinalbong bundok, doon na galing yung baha.
I want to get into that. Yan naman ang naging, yung bumulaga sa atin, hindi ba? Nung nakalipas na bagyong Tino. What's your sense? What happened in Cebu?
Kasi plans are being approved by building officials, planning officials, city councils, and mayors. And you know the projects we do, like Rockwell with Henny Lopez, 49% non-saleable. Only 51% sellable. Rockwell, 4-level basement along Pasig River. Bakit hindi binabahay 4-level basement? Properly done, properly implemented. And then, the way we design at Palafox, minsan may mga nagre-request sa amin, flood control and drainage. And I say, it's not just flood control and drainage because it should start with urban, regional, metropolitan planning, then the demographics, population, urban planning, transportation, housing, land use, and there are 20 kinds of infrastructure. Drainage and flood control, just one of them.
So if you look at what happened in Cebu, what's the most glaring for you? Hindi naman iisang tao ang may kasalanan ng nangyari sa Cebu. Mga ahensya, mga politiko, But based on your experience and your assessment of what happened, what's the story there?
Ma'am, even as architects, planners, engineers, we should examine our conscience. I gave up $1 million for a proposed 6-star hotel when I was instructed to destroy 366 70-year-old trees. And I was slapped with $50 million legal case for giving up the project, collateral damage for me. And developers, in fact, one president of a developer, respectable developer, told me open spaces are cost penalty because the profit motivation is the number one motivation of some developers. The more responsible developers, they recognize that. Now, open spaces are lungs of the cities. They are the evacuation center, social interaction areas. In our part of the world, elsewhere in the world, like the US, Canada, Europe, even privately owned open spaces, POPs they call it, privately owned public spaces, should not be sellable. Imagine Rockefeller Center selling their open spaces for more buildings, only in our country. Elsewhere in the world, like Singapore, is 45% open space, excluding the roads. Hong Kong, because it's a vertical city, 71% open space, excluding the roads. In our country, only 8% are the lungs of the city.
Okay, so you have that picture, right? Yan ang sitwasyon na meron tayo ngayon. Balik tayo dito sa Maynila. Tingin niyo ba papayag na mag-demolish ang mga building, ilabas ang ilang mga constituents papunta sa ibang mga lugar? Because you're talking about votes here.
Yeah. Let's say, like, nung estudyante pa ako, editor-in-chief ako ng College of Architecture and Fine Arts ng UST. Urban renewal for City of Manila, including Intramuros. Urban renewal. Last year in London and Paris, they're now doing new and renew. New buildings, renew the old ones. And London, I heard that 51% are new buildings, 49% are redevelopment. And there's such a thing as urban renewal, urban redevelopment, like the remaking of Mumbai. I think India and the Philippines have the same democracy. But I think they have stronger political will. The success of like our boss in Dubai, Sheikh Rashid, has visionary leadership, strong political will, good appreciation of urban planning, good design like architecture, engineering, and excellent management. You know, in the UAE, it's government employee, my key resource area, I think 17,000, may target sila.
So pag-uusapan natin ng motivation, I mean, clearly, this has been your advocacy for so many decades already.
So I was 20 years old, man.
Exactly. So many decades
75 years old na ako.
But you have that motivation. But up against the motivation of those who run our country, talk to us about their motivation. Why those motivations can't seem to align?
Ma'am, I encourage, we are, I think, 50,000 architects, maybe 70,000 engineers. And I was a seminarian. The word corruption comes from two Latin words, cor, the heart, rapture, to break. That's why we're a broken-hearted country, breaking down together as a nation. And if you see something wrong, you do nothing, it's like a sin of omission. And fighting corruption is a corporal works of mercy, because the sufferers of corruption are the poorest of the poor. Fighting corruption, you're helping the poor. And everything we do, we should just be for God, country, and planet Earth. That's our overarching motivation at Palafox. So I already was slapped 111 million pesos in libel cases for telling the truth, allegedly maligning the good names of the corrupt and the incompetent. And we're still doing. I'll probably write several books about all of this. And like this book, I got the Best Author Award, sold out right away. So, and then even after COVID, I wrote articles about converting basketball courts into 32-bed hospital. I got thank you from 5 continents. It was an open invitation to implement our design. Even maybe every parts and open spaces, let's say, underneath basketball courts,
Correct.
football fields,
Yeah.
gawin ng rainwater harvesting.
Cisterns, yeah.
This may be controversial. Intramuros Golf Course. Panahon ng Castilla, it was a moat.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a moat.
Yeah.
Maybe Mayor Isko have spoken to me, and I agree with this proposal because when I was 20 years old, architecture student, pinopose ko na. Urban renewal for Intramuros.
So babalik ako dun sa tanong ko. It's very clear what your motivation is, no? Sabi ko nga, ilang dekada mo na dala yung advokasya mo. And you've held countless of interviews regarding that. Pero ano ang motivation ng nandun sa kabilang panig? Kung kaya't hindi ka makapasok,
Ma'am,
what's their motivation?
Like, I've never been invited to Malacanang. This administration. All previous presidents invited me to Malacanang. But before I share with the media, I write to the president. And I think he reads them. Maybe he's too busy to invite me to Malacanang. Yeah, and I keep writing to put on record so that future generations will not blame us for doing nothing. There's hope because last Friday, Management Association of Philippines passing the torch, next generation. Bamakina was one of the speakers, and several, father and child. And I saw what my colleagues and my daughter learned from there. There's hope in the future. And if we address, we only have 7 challenges and we have so many blessings. If you address corruption, criminality, climate change, investments, infrastructure, and climate change, we can be number 16th economy in the world by 2050. Right now, we should be 19th economy of the world, forecasted by HSBC and Goldman Sachs 2011. We should have been number 19 na. Maybe because corruption and incompetence we did not reach number 19. Sabi ng mga ibang economies, with good governance, our GDP growth rate should be 9%. Despite the corruption, we are 4%.
So finally, as we wrap up this conversation, Architect Palafox, what should be? I mean, you've seen the destruction, you've seen the devastation, and this is not going to be the last if we don't get our acts together, right? So anong kailangan gawin ng pamahalaan para nga may panlaban kahit na papano? What's the first step?
I think private sector should be involved. Like San Miguel Corporation, 2 billion ginastos nila without taxpayers' money. Dredging Pasig River, 1 billion sa Tulyahan River, and I think they will dredge all the rivers of Bulacan. Maybe high net worth individuals and high net worth corporations na adopt a river, adopt a creek. It's going to get worse because land subsidence, overpumping of deep wells, then sea level rise. In fact, I was just in Boston and Toronto. In Boston now, they have elevated urban roads 8 to 10 meters high.
Because they know what's coming.
You have 100 year.
Yeah.
So you enter now the new buildings on the 3rd floor. And I've been saying, maybe even now, Project NOAA, we have used it. Like San Vicente, Palawan. The stone stairs will be 4 meters high. So we put in the deed restrictions, no bedrooms below 4 meters and 50 meters setback from the high water mark. And I think all the best practices we should do that. That planning from ridge to reef, from top of the mountain, the highlands, midlands, lowlands, and the coastline, like metropolitan Tokyo, they have water retention small dams along the way. And then we should plan comprehensively in terms of area, in terms of time, multidisciplinary. Yeah.
And ano ho ang sasabihin ninyo pagka sinabi nila, lahat ng nasa posisyon ng katungkulan, pag sinabi nila sa inyo, okay yan, architect, pero sayang ang pera eh. Sayang ang espasyo, sayang ang pera.
Cost-benefit analysis. We should also do beneficiary sufferer analysis. Who are suffering now? The poor. Beneficiaries, profitable developers. Government or so corrupt people in government. We're working so hard, paying high taxes, and yet where do our taxes go? And like 50 years, 1977, when I reported to work in Dubai as urban planner and architect, Dubai was probably 100 years behind Metro Manila.
And
Today, probably Dubai is 100 years in infrastructure, urban development, ahead of Metro Manila. It's really good governance. Singapore the same, good governance. Singapore has the same rainfall as Manila, but they have the infrastructure, rainwater harvesting, even underneath the sidewalks, smart cities. Here, recommendations were proposed when I was 20 years old, I was 24 years old, 25 years old, nothing happened. And we said, our Metro Plan team, World Bank funded, we said 1976, I remember the conversation, with the do-nothing scenario, we'll have catastrophic traffic, flooding, natural disasters, lack of decent housing, garbage problem, and so on.
And that's a reality now.
I was 26 years old. I'm already 75 years old. Natulungan ko na 40 countries.
Well, I hope that it's not too late for our country. Architect Palafox there joining us this noon. Maraming salamat po.
Yeah. Thank you,
As always.
Carmela, and thank you for the audience, and thank you for the opportunity to share. I hope this conversation will save human lives, and I hope decision makers, including the corrupt and the incompetent, should listen to this program.
That is the hope. That is the hope. Thanks again, Architect
Thank you.
June.
Sa huli mga kababayan, ang leksyon ay malinaw. Hindi sapat ang drains at concrete lamang. Kailangan ang tamang planning, enforcement at accountability. Kung hindi, mauulit lang ang trahedya. At kung saan na may bilyon na pondo, dapat may malinaw na resulta. Kung gusto nyo ng mga updates sa flood control projects at pangbalita tungkol sa gobyerno, mag-subscribe at i-hit ang notification bell para updated kayo sa lahat ng developments. Muli po, ako po si Opinion and Reaction PH. Lagi po kayo mag-iingat at God bless.